The first 3 episodes of Andor are out today. We've waited long enough for this show to start, so let's just get into it. The opening scene sets the tone of this series so well. It's a dark and stormy night, and a man is walking through the Star Wars equivalent of the Red Light District searching for a missing girl. He runs afoul of some men who think they deserve more respect than they're getting, just because. So they pick a fight they think they can win, but our anti-hero comes out on top. It's not treated as heroic, even if it is satisfying to see some comeuppance for a couple of bullies with delusions of grandeur. It is chaotic and ugly. I'm not the kind of person that is ever going to fight for Star Wars to be R-rated. I don't think that needs to happen, and I think it goes against George Lucas's original intentions for his universe. But Star Wars can tell more mature stories without alienating its younger fans. Nothing about the Red Light District or the brothel is graphic or even overt, but we know what it is. The violence isn't bloody, but it's impactful. Look, I'm a fan of all Star Wars. I can find joy and value in the stories that weren't made with my age group in mind. But I won't deny, it feels good to have some balance in material and something that does speak directly to me a little bit more. And that first scene had me hooked. All Cassian wanted to do was look for his missing sister, but 2 security officers who work for the Planetary Corporation imagined some slight and hassled him. First of all, that's a nice continuation of the prequels and the Trade Federation and the Corporate Alliance and the Commerce Guild and this idea that corporations are going to grow more and more powerful. The corpos of this show are basically security guards that like to pretend they're police. They're given just a little bit of power and they instantly use it for personal gain, which makes sense. They work for a corporation. We later find out that they were breaking several company rules because they felt it was their right and they could get away with it, but Cassian chuckles at them one time because one woman put them in their place, and it's like it's the end of the world for them. They pushed and pushed until they were in a confrontation, and they forever changed the course of Cassian's life. Because this one event is the catalyst for at least the first 3 episodes. I could probably do an entire video on how great the first scene is, but we've got a lot to cover, so let's keep going. At corporate headquarters, we meet Syril Karn, or Dwight Schrute if he were given a gun. Yet another example of someone given just a hint of power that will happily wield it against others. He definitely has loyalty, which is normally an admirable quality, but he's loyal to his corporation. Not friends, not his community, the corporation. He's not concerned that 2 men died so much as he's concerned that 2 company men died. And he is determined to see the murderer brought to justice, even when he's told to stand down by his superior officer. I love the detail that he has tailored his uniform to fit better, whereas everyone else leaves theirs baggy, like their company probably gave it to them. From the trailers, we know Syril is going to work directly with the Empire, and he is exactly the kind of person they would require. Someone loyal to order and security and ideas and concepts more than he is to people, even his superiors, because he goes behind his superiors' back to seek out Cassian with almost no hesitation. On Cassian's home at Ferrix, we start to get a sense of what his life is like, and it is full of lies. He asks his droid, B2 Emo, to lie for him. Well, technically, he asks for 2 lies, and I just want to say that B2 is wonderful. Cassian then asks one of his friends to lie for him. It's all to cover up the deaths of the 2 corpos, but none of it sounds like it's new territory for B2 or his friend. Cassian is shifty, and he owes money to a lot of people in town. But he's still friendly with all of them. That's the vibe I get. He tells his friend, Bix, he needs to sell some piece of stolen equipment to some secret buyer she knows so he can go into hiding until interest from his murders fades away. She heads off to secretly make the call, and I really like how she has some code phrases to use to get into the back to a hidden comm unit. I get the sense the whole town knows how to get around their corporate overlords. We learn that they are technically under their jurisdiction, but it seems like everyone is willing to live and let live. As long as the Ferrix citizens are getting their work done and not making a lot of noise, the corpos won't show up to look around, which is basically the same situation the Preox Corporation has with the Empire. At least put on the appearance of law and order and the Imperials won't take over. It's not ideal, it's not good, but it seems to be working for the people of Ferrix. There is a balance of sorts, but it's precarious and it could all be ruined by one overeager middle manager. With the help of a jealous lover, maybe? Bix's suspicious boyfriend, Tim, knows she's hiding something regarding her and Cassian. He sees them talking in a bar after she turns him down for dinner, and he sees the corporate call looking for someone matching Cassian's description, and he immediately heads to a space payphone to turn in the competition. I really dig how this whole series is starting very small and personal. We're in like a small town where everyone knows everyone, and then one jealous drunk guy makes one drunk decision which adds fuel to the fire of the ambitious corporate tryhard who is trying to solve the murder of two bullies who picked the wrong fight. The Empire isn't here, there aren't any Jedi, there aren't any Sith, it's just people who, yeah, live in a galaxy far, far away, but they're making very human choices about very human situations. And by the way, we are in the second episode at this point. I promise I will address the flashbacks by the end of this video, but I wanted to mention the time grappler and how we get to see the entire town closing up for the night, just getting to see these small moments from this small town. It's not a paradise, but it feels peaceful. And we know it's all about to go to shit. I normally don't swear on this channel because Star Wars normally doesn't, but this show does. I just want to say I appreciate seeing the day-to-day life of everyday people in Star Wars. It's like seeing the Shire in Lord of the Rings. We need these scenes so we know what's at stake before the corpos show up. Because now we have to meet Sergeant Linus Mosk, who is... oh boy. I think Syril's big problem is loyalty to abstracts over people. His good qualities have been corrupted. I do think Syril is seeking what he thinks is justice. Some men were murdered, and even though his superior correctly pointed out that it was probably their own fault, Syril can't stand to let it slide. Mosk? I don't think he cares. He just looks like he is spoiling for a fight. I keep talking about these corpos who have been given even a small amount of power and what they will do with it. Mosk is the poster boy for all of them. He wants to use his power to hurt others. I think he wants to feel like a stormtrooper but hasn't had the chance, or maybe he doesn't want to actually put his life on the line. Either way, he is just looking for an excuse to bring his boot down on someone else to make himself feel bigger than he really is. He says corporate tactical forces are the Empire's first line of defense, which is such an absurd sentence, but he's got those classic Star Wars delusions of grandeur with his big boy blue suit and his little hat, and he can't wait to use his status to make someone else feel small. They're gonna head out to Ferrix, they're just looking to capture one man, but they decide they definitely need 12 soldiers for the job. Mosk gives a rousing speech, all but telling his men to expect trouble from the locals and to be prepared for danger of any kind. Even Syril seems caught off guard by that, clearly not expecting to give some sort of speech for something so simple, and then they all head down to Ferrix, just like the stormtroopers in their landers in The Force Awakens. Again, these guys want to be stormtroopers, or at least they want to feel like them. So much of these first 3 episodes are about what happens when weak men want to feel powerful and respected, but they don't want to actually earn it. They terrorize Cassian's adoptive mother, Marva, and her poor, sweet, perfect droid gentleman. They harass the other citizens for no reason at all. They get a lead on Cassian, and then they head that way. But the corpos are in a race against Luthen, Bix's contact, who reaches Cassian first, and by the way, we're now well into episode 3. Their discussion has been available to watch for a while, but it's important. We see that Luthen values people over objects, showing far more interest in Andor and what he can bring to the fight against the Empire than he does to the stolen merchandise. The rest of the episode is basically a shootout and escape from the planet. The only real action scene of the first 3 episodes is solid and tense and satisfying, just showing the complete hubris and ineptitude of the corpos. I love how so much of it is underscored by like 10 minutes of percussion. I don't know exactly what it all means right now, but I love that Marva uses the corpos' ignorance of it to get them out of her house. And Cassian and Luthen using the speeder to trick their enemies. This obviously isn't the most high-stakes action scene of any Star Wars story. There isn't even a single super laser that can destroy a planet, but it still feels big and important, and it's so much fun to watch. As Cassian escapes, we see a montage of Bix and Brasso and other people we've met on Ferrix looking solemn as they see the consequences of the past couple days. Bix mourns the death of Tim, who wound up dead because of his drunken phone call, but I love that the show doesn't treat him as bad or evil. He made a bad choice out of jealousy, and it will lead to so many problems for his community, but he isn't evil. Again, I like how this small town story is going to spiral into something larger, the same way Cassian is being whisked away by Luthen on a new adventure. And now I will finally talk about the flashbacks that play throughout all 3 episodes because they're important to the final moments. We meet Cassian when he was once called Casa on the planet Kenari. A ship crashes on his planet and he goes to investigate with several other members of his tribe. Their leader is killed and he enters the ruined ship and angrily destroys the equipment until Marva appears to salvage the wreck. Knowing the Republic will soon arrive and fearing what they will do to him and the other villagers, she takes him away, which makes the separation from his sister even more tragic. But we see his departure from Kenari intercut with his departure from Ferrix. Cassian Andor's life was not one that he chose. 3 times in these 3 episodes we see that his hand is forced, or he is straight up taken away from his home, throwing his life into unfamiliar territory and more chaos. We're at the start of his story, and Cassian is kind of a passive protagonist, often reacting to things that he may have caused but were ultimately out of his control. The most significant moments of his life that we are shown are not his choices. I think that's a nice starting point so we can build to his decision to go to Scarif. Jyn didn't force him to steal the Death Star plans. Nobody ordered him to go. Cassian Andor decided he needed to go. He chose to. The final chapter of his life wasn't written by anyone else. It was written by him, and I loved that. And that brings us to the end of the first 3 episodes of Andor. I am so into them. I think they're a blast, and I'm just talking about story stuff. I haven't even mentioned how great I think the series looks, how wonderful the Ferrix set is, how much I like the score, and how great all the cast is. I could praise this premiere for a long time, but I need to wrap up for now. Don't worry though, Molly and I will be live at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for our weekly after show, so come hang out and we can talk about it even more. Until then, let me know what you thought of the premiere in the comments. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel for all our Andor coverage, follow us on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram, and consider checking out our Patreon page for our video reactions and audio commentaries for every new episode. And you can check out this playlist for all our existing Andor content. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.